Security! Rob! Remove him!
You ever have one of those days where you think you're just coming home to collect what's yours, and instead you find 41 McMansions planted right in the middle of your family's legacy? Yeah, welcome to my homecoming party. It's funny, you spend 8 years getting shot at overseas, and the real ambush happens when you touch down in Austin, Texas, thinking you're still heir to a 900-acre ranch your grandfather bled for. Joke's on me, right? The land wasn't just dirt and prairie grass. My grandfather, Harold Whitmore, carved a life out of nothing here, poured every ounce of sweat into building something worth a damn. The kind of place you protect, even if it means sleeping with a rifle under your bed. When I left for the military, 200 head of Black Angus cattle still wandered those pastures, just like they had for 70 years. But the cities crawl, man. Austin eats up countryside like a wildfire, and one day you blink and there's a bronze sign at the gate that says Sunset Ridge, a Pinnacle Homes community. HOA managed, of course, because nothing says progress like an army of Karens with bylaws. I hadn't even turned on my phone before the bad news started ringing. Marcus Webb, the family attorney, called me first. His voice sounded older, heavier. My grandfather passed away June 3rd, left everything to me, but there was a problem with the land. Let me tell you, when your lawyer's drinking whiskey at 2 p.m. and pushing a manila folder your way, you know it's not going to be a good day. Turns out, while my grandfather was dying in a hospital bed, someone walked into the county office and sold 300 acres to Pinnacle Homes for a fraction of what it was worth. I'd seen my grandfather's handwriting when the Parkinson's got bad, shaky, messy, heartbreak written in every wobbly line. But on those transfer papers, smooth as a banker's lie. I didn't need a handwriting expert to tell me it was forged. Marcus filed fraud complaints, but the judge tossed it out in 2 weeks. Same judge who golfs with Pinnacle's investors every Sunday. Sometimes the fix is so obvious it stinks. What they didn't count on was my grandfather's paranoia, or maybe his loyalty. He left me a letter, told me to dig up an iron box by the old oak tree. Inside, proof. Old contracts, survey maps, a USB from the security camera in the cattle barn, even a list of folks who tried to buy the land. And right at the top, Victoria Ashford offered $3 million, got told no, and promised my grandfather he'd regret it. Didn't take long for Victoria to show up, either. Black SUV, gray suit, blonde hair pulled so tight you'd think it hurt. She handed me an envelope of violations, $127,000 worth. Noise, cattle too close to water, smells. Lady, that's called farming. I told her as much, but she just smiled that ice-cold smile and wished me luck being neighbors. It's a special kind of evil to steal a dying man's land, then fine his grandson for running the ranch. But when you're outgunned, outspent, and the court system treats you like a fly at a picnic, you start thinking like a soldier again. That iron box was my ammo. The USB had footage of a break-in, some guys sneaking through the cattle barn in the middle of the night, stealing checkbooks and letters while my grandfather lay unconscious in the hospital. I even caught a whisper, "Got what we need, Mrs. Ashford." Nice, huh? Marcus kept fighting pro bono, but he was tired. My bank account was a joke. 8 years in the Army, and all I had to show for it was $4,200 and a pile of dead ends. The HOA launched an assault, petitions to rezone my land, noise complaints, threats to foreclose on medical loans. They buried me in paperwork. The county clerk lost the original deed during digitization. Sheriff's office shrugged. Even with evidence, the system was built to protect them, not folks like me. That's when I found Jake Morrison. Used to be a combat medic in my unit. Came back stateside, became a reporter. Over greasy diner coffee, I spilled the whole story. Inheritance, forgeries, break-ins, even the shady sheriff with the Pinnacle ring on his finger. Jake listened, nodded, and told me something I'll never forget. Belief isn't a story. You need proof, something public, undeniable. Right about then, the stars aligned. Sunset Ridge scheduled a big housewarming party. Mayor's speech, TV crews, the whole song and dance. 5 days later, my eviction hearing. That's how they play. Put on a show, then sweep the bodies out back when nobody's looking. But my grandfather had written, "The cattle will help you." I finally understood. If Victoria was going to kill my herd by blocking their only water, she was doing it on camera. Under Texas open-range law, livestock can cross unfenced property to reach water. They're secure. HOA never put up a real fence. Why would they? Who expects cattle to crash a mansion party? Jake, Marcus, and I set the plan. Tyler, an ex-Army guy now working for Sentinel Security, slipped me inside info and, better yet, security camera footage of Victoria spelling out her plan to let my herd die. Nancy, the nurse who cared for my grandfather, swore under oath he was unconscious the day those transfer papers were signed. We gathered it all, and I made one promise. I wasn't looking for revenge. I was making the truth impossible to bury. The day of the party, I herded the cattle near the old gate connecting my property to Sunset Ridge, 200 thirsty Black Angus, 3 days without enough water, desperate for Willow Creek. As the mayor began his speech, I opened the gate. The Oldwood didn't stand a chance. Guards tried to stop them, but you can't outmuscle a herd hell-bent on survival. The cattle poured through, right past the champagne and string quartet, toppling tables, mowing down landscaping, sending a message no HOA could paper over. Cameras swung toward the chaos. Jake handed every reporter a USB drive, every dirty secret, every forged signature, every recording, all at once. Victoria grabbed a mic, screamed at her security, and, in the heat of the moment, let slip on live TV that she paid to have things handled. Not a great soundbite when your company's going public. By nightfall, the news was everywhere. FBI started sniffing around. Turns out mine wasn't the only ranch Pinnacle tried to steal. Investors panicked, the IPO crashed, and Victoria's empire started to crack. Sheriff's office had to take statement, but all I did was let my cattle walk to water. The law, for once, was on my side. It took months for the dust to settle. FBI built a case. Wire fraud, forgery, bribery. Victoria went down for 12 years, had to pay back nearly $3 million. Pinnacle Homes went bankrupt. The HOA dissolved. Even a mayor resigned in disgrace. By spring, a federal judge returned my land, 300 acres back in my name, plus damages. I paid off my grandfather's debts and fixed what the siege had ruined. Tyler runs the ranch with me now. Man's better with cattle than with security work. Nancy got promoted when the hospital changed hands. Jake's reporting won an award and helped bring down a rotten system. Some folks moved away, embarrassed by the scandal. Others stuck around, brought pie, even apologized for what the HOA had done. The new sign at the gate says, Whitmore Ranch. Neighbors welcome. Please respect livestock. Most evenings, I sit on my grandfather's porch, watch the cattle move toward Willow Creek, and think about everything we almost lost. The land, the legacy, the truth, it all came this close to disappearing under piles of paperwork and a stack of lies. But you know what? Sometimes justice looks like 200 thirsty cattle walking through a garden party. So what do you think? Is it ever right to fight dirty when the system's stacked against you? Have you been burned by an HOA? Or watched someone try to steal what's yours? Drop your stories below. Let's shine a light where folks like Victoria think nobody's looking. Because the truth doesn't stay buried forever, not if enough of us dig.